I thought finding my own style would totally free me. It didn't, but it's super nice to know what's your own style because it shows more of yourself in your artwork, and that's really nice. And hi, I'm Starina. I'm a singer-songwriter, producer, and a photographer and videographer. And for example, in music, I'm pretty confident that I found my own style, and it's so nice to have that. And for example, in color grading, I haven't found it yet, and I still try to find it. So here are some tips and tricks how you can find your own style and what helped me personally to find my style. What I mean by style is not following trends. It's like something unique. It's like your unique selling point, your USP, that it feels like it's completely yours, even though it's so hard in this world where everything seems to be already there to make something unique. But I guess you really feel it inside of you if it represents you and it's unique. Get to know your craft. That's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, when I would start drawing now, it's pretty hard for me to find my own style because I'm not a good drawer. I don't know much about techniques and everything, and that limits your style because you don't know much. But it doesn't mean that you can't find your style there. It's just much harder if you don't know the craft and you know some things that you can do, because sometimes your style shows in super small things, and if you know that, it will make it somehow a bit easier. Find out what you like about other artists. Good artists copy, great artists steal. I don't know who said that, but I think it's really true, because when you learn your craft, you try to find out what other artists made and you copy their craft, and that's a really good way to get better. But at one point you learn to steal, and I don't mean by stealing that you steal the artwork. I mean that you find out what you like about them and that you then implement that in your own work. For example, of Monsters and Men, they make totally other music than me, but what I really like about them is the kind of stories they tell in their music. And I try to implement this very kind of way, also my kind of music. And that's really great, because if you listen to their music and to my music, you wouldn't see that they're very similar. But that can really inspire you. Or another example is Alan Schaller. He's a street photographer, and I really like about his work that he uses shapes and everything. And for example, this picture, I guess, is really inspired by him. But also remember, you also get inspired by things that you don't have consciously. I mean, you can get inspired by everything, like food or your own room. And when you figure out what you like, it makes it so much easier to find your style. But also what you don't like. For example, I love Megan Tan's works. She's also a YouTuber, and I love her storytelling, and I also love her color grading. But for me personally, I like more natural look or less orangey kind of look in color grading. And I guess it's really nice that I know what I like about her work and also what you don't like. Thus can make it so much easier to find your own style. Write down in the comments who inspires you. That would really interest me. Follow your interests. What I mean by that is, if you like, for example, a photographer and you're really interested in people, then start shooting people, and then you find out what you like about them. Maybe you like about them when they smile a lot, or can like so many different things about that. For me, in photographing, I really like open water. I feel really drawn to that, and I like to capture that in my pictures. Or also I'm very inspired by power pose. I guess that's how they're called. I'm not completely sure. And I find them super interesting because of their symmetry and everything. And yes, I really like that. Or in music, I always find it pretty hard to learn an instrument and do that into producing. And so I started producing as my songwriting, and I learned somehow the computer as my instrument. And if I didn't have that interest, it would never happen like that. So follow your interest. And when you follow your interest, you should look for patterns in your own work. I didn't realize that, but when I looked at my pictures, I saw in many pictures that there is like birds in it, flying birds or sitting birds. And I realized that's probably one pattern in my work that I really like. Or I also realized that when I make videos, I don't have like this shocking peak, but I have some other kind of storytelling, and it's really hard to tell. And I love, for example, close-ups in videos, and think they're not in all my videos, but I really love like these little details in it. And when you look what you make, you realize like, oh, okay, this is a pattern that I show so very often. Or in my music, I realize that I have somehow a minimal approach, that I try to work with little things and make them bigger than they actually are. And I really love that. And as soon as you realize that you have some patterns, they're probably they're leading to some kind of style that you have. Experiment, and experiment a lot, because you only find out what you love by experimenting. I guess it goes a little bit into the point, getting to know your craft, but I experimented, for example, with shutter speed, or or I guess the biggest example is here music, because when I was starting out, I really did folk music, and I know it wasn't special. It was music like everybody else could make. And then I made some workshop, and they showed me like Ableton, and it opened for me a new world, because I didn't knew, or I never would have thought that electronic music would be my style. And I experimented, and at first I didn't like the music I make. I can show you what I made, but I really hated it. But actually, and I didn't want that people heard this kind of music, but thinking about my artist name. And so, but it led me to the music I make today. And I guess I'm really grateful that I experimented a lot, or that I make like music out of hula hoop sounds and stuff like that, because it really showed me what I wanted to do. And it shows you what you can really do, and also it splits you apart from that what's already there. And I guess that's really hard. I mean, when you get influenced by so many things, how should you make something really unique? And when you start like experimenting far away from stuff that you already know, you can learn so many new things, and also see and hear things you never heard before. I guess that's really great. And if you can implement this experimental stuff, even though it's not things you want to make, it can make your art so much better and turn it into something unique. One point is also time. I wish that would happen so fast, but it don't. So take your time. I mean, it took so many years to find my own style. I mean, I created my first song when I was 15, and I found myself with 24, so it took me a lot of time. And you can fasten up these things with really reflecting and seeing what you like and don't like, but just remember, it needs so much time. Style is a process. What I mean by that, I said it in the beginning that I found my style in music, but that doesn't mean that is the style forever. I'm now making new music, and I realize it's different than that, but it doesn't mean that's not my style anymore. But it's something fluid, and it will grow. And once you have found your style, it doesn't mean that's forever your style. It will grow with you and you will change, and that's great. And I really love that. And if you want to see my growth journey, then please subscribe and like this video, and maybe write a comment what video you want to see on this channel. And until then, see you!